Hello, everyone. Welcome to our final talk in the Our Ladies Remote Takeover series of the YR Foundation's webinars. So earlier today, or as in few of your cases the previous day, we've had talks from Africa, from Malaysia, Tuli, who's here with us from Namibia, and the final talk is going to be by Beatriz, who's joining us from Venezuela. Heather from UK and I are really excited to be hosting this series. And thank you, Kevin, who's taking care of hosting the YR webinars. So roughly, this is what is going to happen today at the webinar. Heather will tell you briefly what Our Ladies Remote is all about and encourage you all to join us. It's a wonderful community of Our Ladies across the world who don't have any local chapters. And Tuli will be introducing Biva, and then we'll start playing Biva's video. We'll finally take questions. If you're watching us live on YouTube, please throw in your questions via chat. We'll take those as well. So thank you all and enjoy this wonderful webinar this afternoon. Heather?
Thanks, Janani. Yes, I'll just say a little bit about Our Ladies Remote. So as Janani said, it's for people who don't have a local Our Ladies chapter. So Our Ladies is a global organisation supporting people of minority gender in the R community. And so typically there are local chapters that have in-person meetups. That's been a bit different recently, but that's a sort of conventional format. But obviously, you know, people are based in all sorts of places, and sometimes there aren't enough local R users to form a group. And so they can join the remote chapter, which is a virtual group. So we have a Slack group where we can chat and discuss R and network. And sometimes we do more sort of formal things like reading groups. And sometimes we have seminars like this. And we're really grateful to YR to support us in helping us to organise this series. I think that's it from me. Thanks.
Tuli, could you please introduce Beatriz?
Thank you. Thank you. I would like to introduce you to Beatriz. Beatriz is from Venezuela in Caracas. She works as a researcher at the Development Research University. Her interest includes text mining and analytics, text network analysis, topic modeling, and empirical analysis of social networks. She also has a doctorate in development studies from the Central University of Venezuela. Today, she's going to talk to us on using R and text mining to find a common ground for action in polarized context. And with that, I would like to welcome Beatriz, and please take the floor. Thank you. Beatriz?
Yeah, thank you very much. I am having some technical issues now. I have a very bad return, and actually I am talking and still listen to you. So that's make everything a little hard. Thank you very much, lady, for this wonderful initiative. It has been very inspiring for me and have helped me to make a better commitment with the community from I have received a lot. And it's extremely important for me to meet you ladies doing analytic all over the world. Thank you again.
Kevin, could you please play the video?
Yeah, please play the videos. As Heather had talked, we have problems in Venezuela with connectivity, and it had been a better idea to pre-record the talk in order to avoid any problem. Thank you.
Kevin, I don't think we can hear the audio.
Hi, folks. I just did you hear the audio there? I'll just take it from the top, will I? Sorry, but just try that again. Sorry, let's start again.
Hi, I'm Beatriz Valdez. I am a Venezuelan. I live in Caracas, and I am librarian, and I have a Master of Philosophy in Development Studies, and I am currently a PhD candidate in Development Studies. My working experience is mainly in monitoring and evaluations of development projects, especially social and cultural one. I am a part-time professor at the Central University of Venezuela since 2005. I speak Spanish, my mother tongue, and I speak English and French, although I haven't spoken those languages in quite a long time. So I apologize beforehand because of my strong accent and because probably I'm gonna unconsciously combine past tenses with future and present. Probably I'm gonna eat the final terminations of past verbs. But anyway, I invite you to ask for any clarification you need, whatever, whenever I am not clear enough and my accent prevents you to understand my thinking, please feel free to ask the question, and I likely going to clarify any doubt. Why art? Well, for me, art has been an option, and I have fallen in love with it because of the amazing community that had deployed such amazing amount of resources for free on the internet, books, blogs, scripts, etc. In 2006, I started to run an elective seminar on data analysis for strategic planning at the School of Sociology where I work. And I started using Excel. Even I did some programs using VBA, Visual Basic for Excel. But I found that this was first extremely time consuming. And I also noticed that for my students, it was hard to follow the procedure to understand because it was quite hard. You have to declare any single variable, and there were a lot of problems. So I was looking for alternatives, and I understood that many schools at UCB used SPSS. I also paid quite a large amount of money to have a diploma in SPSS, $2,700, which was almost 3 months of my salary for that time. By that time, and after finishing this diploma, I discovered that our school hadn't had a license for running SPSS. So my fault, I should have found out first before doing this diploma. And also there were other issues that I disliked from SPSS. For example, it was extremely verbose. The results were extremely verbose, and well, there were many limitations too. So I was rushing to find alternatives. Then, among of all those searches I did, I came across by chance with R. And what I read was interesting, really interesting. So I downloaded the program, and when I saw this ugly, cold interface, I was shocked. I didn't understand anything. I didn't see how to start working with this. So I just ran away. I chickened out. So I just kept working with Excel for at least 2 years more, 2 more years, until I, by chance, once again, found a set of videos concerning data mining on YouTube. This man was teaching data mining, and he used R. That was my opportunity to understand a little bit how it worked. I felt more comfortable with the console and with our interface. And even in that moment, I didn't understand very much, but it opened this wonderful world for me, and also it helped to find those resources that have been made available by the art community that helped me to learn a lot by free, comparing with those $2,700 I had paid for PSS. R was, you know, like a gift falling from heaven for me. And I started to find many places full of resources. For example, I immediately downloaded many of the manuals that were on the art plan, and especially the art journal, where I found many procedures very well explained that helped me little by little better understand how art worked. What I did was to copy and paste those scripts and run them by part so that I can see what I did and exactly more or less where it failed. So this was wonderful. I also arrived at our bloggers, and I followed the many links it had to the blogs or those who posted on bloggers, and this also improved my knowledge of art. And of course, my beloved Dr. Harry Wickham, he old blog was really ugly. This is much better, much aesthetic. But the old blog helped me a lot with Digiplo, and I also found the first edition of Digiplo 2, and I followed all the procedures there. Even I didn't understand anything. It was plain classic Greek for me, at least it was developing me in me many skills and abilities, and those helped me to understand the grammar gaps, at least the paradigm under this idea, and little by little to acquire the grammar of art. And I also came across other resources that not only have a collection of additional resources, but also recommended courses and specializations, courses and specializations. And that's how I just knew about Coursera, which had been another wonderful place to improve my knowledge of art. And notice that during all this time, I have been learning by free. The only resource I have to invest was time. And more recently, Bookdown has been another source of knowledge for me. I really appreciate this, and thanks the Art Studio community for post all those materials there and made them available for people like me who lived in third world countries, impoverished countries, and we don't have so much opportunity to buy or money enough to spend even $10 in buying books or journals. I want especially thank and mention in a special way, well, redundant, Dr. Julia Silver. Her blog opened a big opportunity for me, and thanks to her work in her blog, I developed a skill that literally risked me for starvation. Due to political issues that have impacted badly the economic as well as the social space in this country, along with some international sanctions that have been imposed on it, Venezuela has passed from being an upper middle income country to be one of the most poor country in Latin America, to be one of the poorest country in Latin America. Those sanctions and the general situations are affecting especially common people, although some say that the sanctions are directed toward the some political leaders, but the fact is that they are affecting common people. Many people are starving right now. And in December 2017, I went through this kind of situations. I had to spend 3 days without food because I didn't have money to buy. People who lent me, they had so tight situation that it was even unimaginable for me to borrow money from them. So I spent 2 days without food, and then during the rest of the month and from January to February, I had to eat only once a day because I didn't have to do something different. Now I have discovered that there is something called intermittent fasting that people are following as a way of improving their health, because it seems that eating once a day or twice a day is the best option to keep healthy and or to develop a strong health. But there is a difference between doing intermittent fasting because you want to, because you choose so, than to eat once a day because you don't have any other possibility. The fact is that thanks to the skills and capabilities that I acquired by reading that wonderful blog of Dr. Silvia and her procedures, which were extremely well explained and extremely self-evident, so to speak, I was able to find a job as freelance first, and then I was hired by the institution where I did this job. And thanks to that, I was able to put food on my table on a regular basis once again, and even to help some of my relatives. And I have been working as a freelance in text mining since 2018, which has been, as I have stated before, my main source of income and have helped me to cover some of my necessities and to help some of my relatives. Thank you, Dr. Julia. Thank you, Dr. Robinson. And this is concerning Dr. Julia Silvia, who I hope to meet someday in person. Okay, now let me explain how I've been using R apart from those things I have already said, and that I can say in short. I have been using R and I have fallen in love with R because the commitment of its community to democratize the knowledge of R and consequently the use of R. There are so many resources on the wide developed and designed and posted for many people from different parts of the world that they really make easy to learn R, which is not that easy at the beginning, especially for people who come from the experiences with Excel or PSS. Thank you all. I have been using R, especially for text mining. Why text mining? Because I come from the social sciences where textual data is the main kind of data. 80% of the data in the social realm is in textual format. That's why my main interest is on it. And we know in the social sciences that the reality is created in the discourse. Narrative, stories, storytelling create the world in which we live. There is not the same thing as, or let me put this in another way. If there is an earthquake, this is a fact, scientific fact, an earthquake. But the reality we create about that earthquake is a creation from the mind of people. Some people could say that it happens because it's a punishment from God because of our sinness. Others could say that is because the how we are treating the environment, which has debilitated some layers in the earth, and etc. The interpretation about the event is a creation in the discourse. So this is why I am just very interested in analyzing discourses, narratives, and especially populist discourse. One of the factors I have found very useful to text analysis, especially by using correspondence analysis, either simple or multiple, or principal component analysis, is Factominer. Factominer have a function that is really useful to create a contingency table by crossing this textual variable with many others as needed. And then we can create or run in this case, a correspondence analysis. This is data from Latin Barometer. This is corporations that has service in Latin America on regular basis. And they have been doing this from 1995 up to, I think, 2018. I don't know if they were able to do anything in 2019 and if they're gonna do anything now in 2020. The thing is, for example, I have crossed those variables, the opinion of the participants in about the characteristic of the democracy and level of education. And I found some interesting findings. For example, illiterate people, for them, a democracy was synonym of economy and income. They wanted, or they believed that democracy was related to a sound economy, to decent income, and respect for minorities. While people which college education, complete college education, and secondary school incomplete, they believe that democracy was related to parliament and with parliamentarians that were accountable to their constituencies, meaning that for them, democracy was a synonym of institutions, and in this case, parliament. People with secondary school complete and or college incomplete describe democracy or characterize it as something related with civil rights, because for them, democracy was related with freedom of speech, equal opportunities, and with the government of the majority. And finally, for people who only have had 9 years of education or less, democracy was related to political parties and their competitions in regular elections. And this is quite interesting because it sheds light to the panorama we have right now in Venezuela. On one hand, if politicians only talk about democracy in terms of institution, it's quite probably that they are only directing the message to a very fragmented part, to a very tiny part of the population. And if they are talking about democracy as civil rights, again, they are just directing the messages to a tiny part of the population. On the other hand, if you take into consideration the extreme polarizations we have right now, and those, at least for visions that come out from this analysis, could you imagine how difficult it is to reconcile the idea of democracy that we need to construct in this country when some of the people believe that it's economy or is related to economy, other institutions, and other with civil rights, and other with political parties. Of course, all that is democracy, but the thing is, we need to create a narrative that link together those four parts and pretty much a kind of process where all of us understand that it's not economy or institutions or political parties or civil rights, but all of that. I then proved the same variable, a question about the characteristic of democracy with age. And again, I found some interesting finding. For example, those who were more worried about democracy as civil rights were people between 18 and 24 years old. And if you pay attention to the demonstrations that we are having lately in some Latin American countries, you can see that those who are in the first line in the demonstrations are very young people. Of course, this was data from 2005, but it seems that this has been an issue for young people, democracy as civil right. Another package I have used in the past has been HH and the Likert package. In my opinion, these packages have been really promoted and they are now widely known in our community. They are wonderful to work with survey data. For example, here I have the evolution of the self-positioning in the left-right scale. People were asked that if we in politics speak of left and right, and we have a scale which goes from 0 to 10, where 0 is left, totally left, and 10 is right, totally right. Where would you place yourself? And I just wanted to see to what extent the political discourse in Venezuela has somehow changed this self-positioning in people. And at least as hypothesis, I could see that definitely there were a change in the perception. For example, in 1995, more or less a little bit more than 20% of the people self-positioning themselves in the left scale. They positioning much more as with different gradation in the right scale. But if you compare this reality with, for example, say 2013, there were a very clear change. There were variations, of course, but you can see how this tended to increase, and it tended to increase in some key years. But the thing is, if you compare with the right scale, that there were a change, and it also we can also see a change in the neutrals, those who were in the 5 position in the middle. They didn't they didn't have done clear election for any of the polls. And another thing we can see here is the polarization was increasing year after year. We can see so. And in 1995, there was a little polarization, but not that much. And this was especially true in 2007. 2006 and 2007 were key years in politics, because in those years, the government declared that Venezuela was going to be a socialist country. And this neutrality is a message people that were definitely no clear as what place to self-positioning in. So this is very interesting for me. And this was the package HH. Now we can see the package liquor, probably I don't know, having enough room to observe the results from 2015, but I think that if we compare the movement between this orangish area, which mean none, and the green one, which means from somehow to totally yes. This was a question concerning the confidence in some institutions, the army, the judicial branch, the government, the Congress, and political parties. We can say that in 1995, people tend to don't trust them, and that this distrust was increasingly diminishing in 2005, and then it started to increase again in 2015. This is the package liquor, and again, it's a very wonderful package for working with any liquor scale. And here we're going to start with my preferred area, which is use of network analysis to uncover some relationships and to better understand some narratives and discourses. Here, I have done an explorative food network analysis. I used eGraph, and this is the visualizations of the community presented in the data. This was data coming from traditional kitchens in Venezuela, and this result was amazingly shocking for us because I done this analysis in the context of that seminar of data analysis for strategic planning. This was in 2016, and I remember that in that moment we had a very hard time finding food. It was an scarcity. There were long lines of people waiting hours to buy almost nothing. And when I run this, it was just with exploratory, just to show the student that network analysis could be useful for in many contexts. What this visualization showed me was that the different kind of recipes overlapped because many of them were made using exactly the same ingredient. This meant that the Venezuelan cook you have to see is very creative because they have been able to prepare a lot of a variety of plate food using the same ingredient. But at the same time, this is a weakness because in times of scarcity, if you lack 3, 4, 5 ingredients, you cannot do almost nothing. You can do almost nothing. And this is the first information the overlapping communities indicate. And for example, here I have some recipes with chicken is the main ingredient, And as we're gonna see in the next visualization, this chicken is strongly related to some fishes, some salad, some food that when you see on the table, you can imagine that they are, how can I say this? They are tightly linked with other plates. And here, for example, this is a chicken salad which is strongly linked to a food that is made with, I don't remember, in Spanish it's vísceras. I can't remember the word in English. But the thing is, this is done from kind of meat, while this is chicken. And at the same time, this salad, chicken salad, is related to with some fish. So at the end of the day, it's like saying that Venezuelan cuisine has the same flavor, exactly the same flavor no matter what. And as I have told before, if you lack 3, 4, 5 ingredients, this is going to strongly affect our emotions and our identity, because we're going to feel that our food is tasteless, because not only 1 or 2 or 3, all of our cuisine is made of with those same ingredients. And this is the communities that come out from comparing sweet receipt with salty one. You can clearly see that the two communities are separated, which is not the same situation we have seen before. And this just confirmed me that that indeed our general cuisine, the salty one, is made of the same set of ingredients, which is very creative, but at the same time, very dangerous. Here, I'm gonna show some analysis I have done with discourses, conversations, and narratives. This is a discourse of a businessman who wanted to be or to enter the political realm. And he making a discourse in those years because he wanted to run for the presidency. He later abandoned the idea, but this was one of his discourses. And by observing this, my conclusion is that he was talking too much and saying nothing. Each color is a community, a thematic community. He talked about so many things that I doubt that those who were listening to him picked the entire discourse. Probably some people who were related to each thematic community focused their attention on those issues, but they definitely don't pay too much attention to the whole discourse. In that case, I can say this man was doing a very very good job as politician. Talked about many things and of course say nothing. This is another discourse from this same man in those same years. Here is words. I love to analyze first the structure of the discourse without any theme, because it showed me a little bit more how the structure is. And here he talked too much about, he was bluffing. He was talking about many things in a dilute, how can I say this, in a very superficial way, and only some points joined together each theme, each superficial theme. Here he was more politician than ever. And again, those who were there only probably picked those areas that interested them and forgot or not pay any attention to anything else. Here is another discourse, and this is come from a team from the government who was proposing a kind of reform to some economic issues. And what I can see here is that the member of those team, the member of that team don't quite arrive to a consensus. Each of them work their part, and then they put together, they collect together those ideas and present them as a document. This analysis shows there wasn't a real consensus. Once again, probably many people could identify with one part, the part that interested them, and forgot or ignored the other part. Another analysis I have done is about sentiment and emotions. Here I have used Beatriz and Beatriz to work with sentiment analysis coming out from tweets posted by people in South American countries where Venezuelans has arrived as a kind of avalanche. There's a big xenophobia in South America against Venezuelans. This is really how can I say this? The reactions in South American country against the Venezuelan migration is, in my opinion, even worse than the reactions of some Americans and some European people against the migration. Or at least, what can I say is that we are so xenophobes as Americans and as Europeans. But the thing is, in the past, this only was evident in those countries, America and European countries, than in ours. But now it's a fact. It's a fact. The kind of discourses and even at political level, discourse among politicians against Venezuelans is really, how can I say this? It's more than worry. For me, it's more than a worry. It's something. It is. I don't have the word now, but it's worrisome for me. And here I have the same sentiment analysis, but I have used word cloud, a comparison cloud, both of them are. And this is another way of showing it. Probably in some countries they use this way than using bars. Here, this is bigrams. I sometimes prefer to use bigrams than unigrams. And I like the way that the package A helps us to present cluster analysis. I like the way, I think is more understandable. And here, this is another way of presenting bigrams. The difference is that in this way, you can easily track what kind of word, adjective, kind of verb, kind of noun is more used and what kind of word followed each time. And it also, thanks to the diagrams, could help us to see the emergences of some agendas. This is title test with title test and graph. This is more or less the same analysis, but instead of using the co-occurrences of words, I used the correlations of the word, and they gave this kind of analysis gives me another kind of focal, and it also led me to uncovering some agendas. I use here white dark, title test, and graph once again. This is the same correlations analysis, but I have used QDAP. QDAP is another package for text mining, which is poorly used, or few people use it, and it's wonderful. We have also two additional companions, QDAP tools and QDAP dictionaries, and I highly recommended it. And finally, I have also used topic models with tidyverse and tidytext to classify some documents according to their according to the number of things they treat. Topic modeling sometimes is more or less equivalent to those network of concurrent words, but when I am just interested in the topics and not in the relation between them, I prefer topic modeling. Finally, I have used here a graph in combination with Getty to visualize this network, this textual network, textual of concurrent words. And what I have found, this is from the exercise that have been conducted with almost 200 people in Venezuela, a little bit more, where they discussed the kind of country they wanted to live in by 20. When they analyze not only the main network, but its community one by one, I noticed that this can be related to, say, Amartya Sen theory of development. People somehow wanted a development linked to freedom, education, security, sound economy, a country of love, etc. And although they didn't link, they didn't link freedom and liberty with development directly, something that I just expected because many of those people worked in the promotions of human rights. With some words, we can see that the model, the paradigm is there. People want a country ruled by law. They want strong institutions. They want freedom. They want a market economy, etc. And they want as value. They want respect. They wanted respect. Thank you very much. Any question? I'm here to respond to you. Once again, I apologize for my strong accent and by the fact that probably my mistake in combining verbs in past and present could prevent you to follow what I mean. So feel free to question me and to even email me if you need. Thank you.
very much. Thank you, our ladies. Thank you, Ars, for this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you so much, Beatriz. That was very useful, informative presentation. And just so interesting how you bring out so much insight into the social issues in your country and using and showing how powerful R is in terms of these techniques, especially the text network analysis. I find that quite so useful in text mining. Okay, so I think we come to the end of our presentation. I'm just going to give to Heather to conclude our session. Thank you.
Before that, there's just one question that we have from YouTube, which is what package was used for the sentiment analysis?
I don't remember. There is at least 3 packages that were with sentiment analysis. A sentiment, there is one that is my preferred package, but I cannot pronounce the name. It's something like SYZHAT. This package is wonderful because it only work with sentiment, but it can create plot, which can uncover the kind of archetypes that those sentiments build. And the tidy text also have a possibility to download sentiment taxonomies from, I don't remember the name of those people in Canada that have developed a course of a sentiment analysis, and they have translated those into different languages. So if you don't want to consult or to use the other packages, you can use the procedure that is in tidy text to download those taxonomies.
Okay, thank you. And I think this also addresses the other question that we had, which is, apart from mainstream packages like Tidyverse, do you have any other favorite packages?
Oof, a lot. Any single package that works with text, no matter what, is my preferred, or with sentiment are my preferred. So
any favorites that you have apart from the ones that you spoke about today?
Wow, this is a lot of them. Well, TM is another package that I didn't mention, but TM is, the package Reddit for downloading posts from Reddit or Reddit, sorry for my, I recommend, this is extremely useful. And all the packages for web scraping, especially are best, and lately they have developed others. And now I'm trying to figure out a kind of workflow to formalize the idea of working with people to simulate the systemic archetype that flow from the conversations or the mental maps, and combine that with that system dynamic. And there are also at least 2 packages for working with system dynamic. There is a package for working with chaos, simulate chaotic situations. I haven't working with them, but they seems to be something that I'm going to like a lot.
Okay, thank you so much. And I know we are coming up very close to end time, but we are excited since you're from Venezuela. We have some very specific questions for you that can't be answered by other speakers. So how is the R community or the R ladies community looking like in Venezuela? And do you interact with them often? Can you tell us a little bit about the landscape of that in Venezuela?
we need to work a little bit more on this. Actually, I am behind the idea of launching the Art Lady Venezuela, but because of this situation, I haven't been able to sit down and do my work on that. But it's my commitment now that I'm gonna reinforce my work for doing so. And there are few people working with art, but lately the amount of people have increased, but we haven't come together. Although there is an effort, some people have meeting in the past 2 months to try to create a community and to strengthen it. But we need to work much. There are much work ahead to do, but I think that this kind of event have motivated me, and I think that my other friends who work with art are gonna be very committed and have the how can I say this, the motivation to push harder to have a strong community, our community in Venezuela.
That's great to hear that. So we have lots of chapters already in South America. So hopefully they'll be able to support you too. We also have a mentoring program from Our Ladies, and you can definitely make use of that.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, Tuli, for
thank you,
hosting Beatriz. And thank you,
Yeah.
Heather, for bringing together such a wonderful panel of speakers for today's YR. And
thank you, Tuli.
With that, I would like to
Thank
thank
you, Beatriz.
YR Foundation and Heather once again. And Heather, if you would like to add something, you can please go ahead. Apart from that, thank you. That's it. I would like to conclude.
Yeah, I think you've done a great job of wrapping up, Janani, and I'm really pleased how this takeover has worked out, that we were able to get this great lineup of speakers from 3 different continents. It's really great to see how people are using R in these different places, and how the community is growing. So it's really nice to meet you online, and I hope everybody else enjoys your talks too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.